Yeah, I suppose it's really strange because it's kind of a real mishmash of feelings because on one hand, probably since from when I walk in the door, I'm desperate to be walking out of the door. So I'm really happy to be being discharged. But also I think, especially when you spent quite a bit of time in hospital, it just feels incredibly daunting. You spent all this time in a very strange environment, essentially, and then you've got to go back home or wherever you're going. For me, it was back home, and I had to think about how I was going to parent my children again and do the washing up and sort out my medication and what bills had piled up and what things had been moved in my absence because someone had been living in my house and also the other things like I don't have social anxiety. I'm really, really lucky. But actually, when I come out of hospital, one of the big things for me is going to the supermarket, which sounds really silly because I do that on a daily basis. But that intense atmosphere of bright lights, big space, lots of people, noise, after you've been in a very different place, um, is really, really tough. So that's my kind of first thoughts about those feelings is it's really complex, how you feel, and also really worried about picking up relationships again that have been impacted on by your admission. I don't see my children all the time when I'm in hospital. Maybe I see them maybe at the weekend for an hour or whatever, and suddenly I'm back to being mum and being friend and being all those things that actually when you're in hospital you're not really those people. No, I don't think I really was. I think there was some focus on, making sure that you get a kind of, I don't know if they're statutory or not, but those requirements of like the 72-hour phone call and, you know, a piece of paper put in your hand about who would you call if you were in a crisis, which is all really helpful. Um, but I suppose there wasn't really any discussion around the wider aspects but even the like really medical stuff like medication you get I usually get sent home with a set of meds that have usually been changed while I've been on the ward. And then you've got a week's worth of medication and then you've got 7 days to sort out getting some more. And I don't know if anyone else has tried to sort out changes of medication in hospital, but it's not easy. There's a lot of phone calls to the GP and then back to your community team and then back to the GP and then you go to the pharmacy and they're not ready. And I find that really, really stressful. And actually, as somebody who really struggles with taking medication, any little thing that gets in the way is a potential trigger for me stopping medication and ending back in hospital again. So yeah, it doesn't feel like there was a lot of planning really at all. No, not really. And I own part of that. I suppose one of the ways that I manage my admissions is I don't know whether it's too, because I'm too poorly to think about it or whether it's a subconscious decision, but you asking me that question, I was just thinking, did I think about it? And I didn't, I don't, because you never know when you're going to be discharged. And I suppose for me, I have been in the position before where I've thought I was going to be discharged and I would be able to make it. It's usually to kind of a children's special event or something like that. And then I haven't been discharged and it's been really distressing. So I think, I take my responsibility in not ever giving it some thought until, the 2 days that notice, I think it was last time that I had to say, okay, we'll be discharging you, and you can go home on Wednesday. And I think that was the Monday to then start thinking, oh my goodness, like I'm going to be discharged. And I think there is an expectation that you should just be really happy about it. And please don't get me wrong. I was absolutely elated. I absolutely wanted to go home. But there didn't feel like there was the opportunity either with the staff or actually with my closer family and friends to go, do you know what, this is going to be hard. So no. I think the only thing that I will add on the back of what I've just said is actually once I was out of hospital, so just after, people then recognised that actually it must have been a bit of a shock and it must be quite difficult. But I feel like it would be really beneficial. And then people trying to support me at that time, but it would have been beneficial whilst I was in hospital to start thinking about how I could manage some of those difficulties out of hospital.